and friendly and particularly gifted at showing hospitality. And it's interesting that the stereotypic divisions between Litvak and Galicianer break on somewhat similar lines. I don't want to make too much of this, but Litvak's stereotype is more learned, but also as more rigorous, more serious, more obsessive, maybe a little colder and more dogmatic than their southern neighbors, Polish neighbors, Galicianers, who are seen as warmer and funnier and more emotional and maybe more hedonistic. So there are lots of jokes, and I really won't tell them, that pit the two groups against each other. It's a bit of the folklore of this region. An example would be, so Moses received the tablets containing the 10 Commandments on Mount Sinai. All the Litvaks showed up, they were right on time, and they studied them word by word. But the Galicianers, they were late because they were planning the banquet to celebrate the receipt of the Torah. They were planning the food. You could also see differences in food preparation. Litvaks generally like their food saltier, Galicianers sweeter. You can taste the difference in gefilte fish cakes, and in, I mentioned Lakschenkugel, noodle pudding. Here in Kaunas or in Vilna, those would be savory dishes. If you have them here in Krakow, they'd be sweeter dishes. Maybe not surprisingly, the first sugar beet factory in Europe was located in southern Poland before you would find them in Lithuania. Well, given that Litvaks were generally not Hasidic, whereas the Hasidim captured the imagination of a greater proportion of Galicianers, southern Poles, the difference in the style of ancient Jewish texts may have been, in the study of ancient Jewish texts, may have been what gave rise to the stereotypes that we now find characteristic of the Litvak versus the Galicianer, certainly in cultural stereotypes and in humor. Perhaps they even are reflected in these differences in taste preferences, salty versus sweet. Nonetheless, there are plenty of joyful Litvaks, counter to their stereotype, found all over the world, and there are also plenty of serious Hasidic students of Torah and Talmud, counter to their stereotype, found all over the world too. I think differences perhaps have a way of disintegrating over time and revealing a core shared humanity. And although we're celebrating today the multiple dimensions of a Litvak Misnagdic identity,